So today we are going to work on strength and support for the knees. And so we've actually been doing this the whole time. A lot of working on stability in your knees also has to do with stability in your hip joints and in your ankles. So those areas surrounding them, so that your knees don't take so much of the pressure of doing everyday activities. And the more mobility you have to move in your hips or your ankles, you're less likely to, twist a knee. So we'll go ahead and get started on your mat. We'll begin seated in a position that's comfortable for you. And we'll just go ahead and tune in with your body. Bring your awareness to your breath. You can fix your gaze gently on a spot or close your eyes, whatever is comfortable to you. And bring your awareness to your inhale and your exhale. Letting yourself be present on your mat and ready to move this afternoon. As thoughts from the morning or the afternoon come to your mind, you can just let them fall away. Letting yourself just be here now. I am breathing in. I am breathing out. If your eyes are closed, you can go ahead and open them. And bring your legs out in front of you and extend your right leg forward. And we're just going to massage into the areas around your kneecap. So you could start maybe above the knee, taking your thumbs and fingers and just feeling around, getting into the knee joint below the kneecap. And then try to relax your quad and the muscles around your knee and see if you can move your kneecap around a little bit. So your kneecap does actually shift and have mobility, and that's a good thing. It can feel really weird to do this if you've never done it before, but you're just trying to kind of move your kneecap around and see how it can slide on top of your knee joint. This is actually a great thing to do when you're just sitting watching TV, and it's good for your knee mobility. And then you can bend your knee so that your heel is on the ground, and we're going to rotate in the kneecap. So what this looks like is a very small movement. I don't know if you can even see my foot. Your foot is going to kind of windshield wiper slightly back and forth to the right and left, but it's not moving from your ankle joint like this. It's moving from your knee joint. Again, just giving your knee joint a little stretch and some mobility work, going back and forth. And keeping your heel pressed into the floor. And then you can extend your left leg, and we'll do that to the other side. So first, try to relax your quads and just gently massage around your kneecap, maybe into the sides of the knee joint. And then gently slide your kneecap around. One side might be a little stiffer than the other, and that's okay. And then bend your left knee. keeping your heel on the ground and your foot, your toes pointing up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to rotate in that knee joint on the left side. Being careful to not let the movement come from your ankle, but from your knee. So you're moving that shin bone kind of to the right and the left.
No, I can't either. Not this time.
Neither one of them was using it.
Yeah, pretty nice.
Thank you.
And then go ahead and stretch both legs out. And then bring your feet beneath you into a low squat. So you're just kind of, squatting all the way down. See if you can rest your heels on the ground so that your feet are flat to the ground, maintaining the squat. You can use your hands for balance if you need to. And then from there, and if you can't get your heels down, just do your best. Try to keep your weight back into your heels as you press into your heels to stand all the way up. Good. Now feet are about hips width apart, and lift your toes, spread them out wide, and then set them back down. Again, lift your toes up, spread them wide, and set them back down. One more time. Lift your toes up, spread them as wide as you can, each toe, try to get space in between, and then set them back down. And then keeping your feet still just completely forward, we're going to externally rotate in the hips. So it kind of feels like you're screwing your feet into the ground as if your heels were moving in and your feet were moving out, or your toes were moving out, but your feet actually stay in the same spot on the ground. You're just rotating in your hips. So that's a slight movement. If that doesn't make sense, you also think about moving your knees out towards the sides of the room, getting some external rotation in the hip sockets. And then from there, you're going to press your weight into your left foot to bring the right foot up. So this is kind of like the pelvic list that we did on the block or standing on a book when we did the hip class. So then you set it back down, you press your right foot into the mat to bring the left foot up. So all the movement here is coming from your hips, pressing your left foot into the ground to shift the right hip up, and then setting it back down, pressing your right foot into the ground to shift that left hip up. So continue doing that. And your foot doesn't have to get off the ground very high. All the movement is in the hips. Also try not to rotate. Like if I turn my hip, I can get my foot up higher, but your hips want to stay level or even forward. And then next time you lift your right foot up, bend your knee as if you were going to march, and then set it back down. And then lift the left foot up and bend that knee like you were going to march and set it back down. So as you do this, there is a slight rotation in your torso going towards the bent knee. And this is called a sustainable march. So this is actually a lot of the movement that you want to be doing when you're walking or running, and not popping out this standing leg, but keeping that hip in as you use the force to lift your other leg. And then next time your right knee is up, you can add the arms, and then we'll go ahead and march with our arms up and our knees up, going from one side to another. Really paying attention to rooting the grounded foot into the floor and using that force to get your other leg up. Seems like such a simple movement, but as you add each part, it does kind of get more complex if you bring your awareness to really shifting those hips. Let's do a couple more on each side. And then bring both feet back down. Let your feet be about hips width apart again. And then you're gonna roll your ankles so that you're on the outside of your foot. And then roll your ankles in so that you're on the inside of your foot. So this is supination and pronation of the ankle joint. And you're just gonna roll back and forth, keeping still your whole length of your foot on the ground as you go from each side. So when I'm on the outside, toes, heels are all on the side of my foot on the ground. And then inside the same way, keeping your big toe on the ground with the inside of your heel. And just going back and forth. And then come back to center. And you're going to step your left foot out to the front of the mat and turn so that you're in a lunge position. So left foot is forward, right foot is back. Bring your right foot a little bit more forward than our usual lunge and shift your weight back into the left foot. So your or right foot, sorry, left foot is straight, or left leg is straight. And then you're gonna hinge at the hips. So you're gonna tilt your pelvis, keeping your spine straight, and then lift your toes up towards the ceiling so that your heel is pressing into the ground. So this may be another one where you'd like a chair or something for balance. And then after your toes are pointing up to the ceiling, heel is pressing into the floor. Keep pressing the heel into the floor as you reach your foot forward like you're trying to stretch it long. And then set your whole foot back down. Again, lift your toes up towards the ceiling. Heel is pressing into the floor. And then as you set your foot down, try to stretch it as long as you can. Setting the whole foot back down. So continue like that for a few more times. This can be difficult for balance and for ankle mobility. But really try to focus on stretching that foot out as you set it down. Let's do two more. And then bring your hands to frame your left foot and set your right knee down. And then you're gonna move your right hand a little further out on your mat or off the mat and bring your left hand to the inside of your left foot. Press your right or your left arm into your left shin, or also your left shoulder into your left knee so that they're both pressing against each other. Inhale, exhale fully as you press the left shoulder against the left knee. And then lift your right hand up. So you get a nice rotation in your mid-back. And then you're going to reach forward with your right hand, swoop it down, reach behind you, and then back up. Creating a nice arm circle and really feeling that rotation in between the shoulder blades. As you do that, continue to really press your left shoulder into your left knee for stability. As you raise your arm up, try to squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then as you reach forward, let it shift up. And then as you come down, create space between the shoulder blades. And then you can reverse the direction, going up and then down. Continuing to be mindful of pressing that left shoulder against your left knee and pressing your left hand into the mat. Then place your right hand back down and place your left hand on the other side of your left foot. And then you're going to shift your hips back and straighten your left leg. And then if you can come up and balance without your hands resting on the ground, go ahead and do that. If that right away is too unstable, then go ahead and keep your hands down. And we're going to point your left toes up to the ceiling and then lift your left foot up off the mat. So this is kind of a funny, tricky balance one. Lots of wobbling. And then set it back down. Regain your stability. And then we'll lift it up again. Can wobble as much as you need to. If you lose your balance, then set it back down and start again.
Wow.
And then set it back down. Bring your hands to frame your left foot, tuck your back toes, and we'll step back into downward dog. Paddle out the feet, getting a nice stretch as this is our first down dog. Coming up on your toes and then pressing the heels back. Inhale. Exhale forward. And now we'll bring the right foot up to repeat that sequence on the other side. So from the right foot, you're going to come up into a high lunge, pressing your right foot into the mat, and then straightening the right leg. You could bring the left foot up a little bit and tilting your pelvis into a hip hinge. And then pressing your right heel into the mat to bring the toes up so that your foot points towards the ceiling in flexion. And then reach your toes and your foot forward to slowly set it back down. Again, press your heel into the mat to flex your foot, pointing your toes towards the ceiling, and then reach the toes out and forward to set it back down. Continue with that, moving your foot up and down. Being mindful of your spine, staying straight and long, trying not to squeeze your shoulders up towards your ears, and keeping your face relaxed. Next time you set your foot back down, bring your hands down to frame your foot and set your left knee on the floor. Reach your left hand a little further out on the mat and bring your right hand to the inside of your right foot. Press your right shoulder against your right knee for stability. So your whole arm is touching the whole inside of your leg and they're really pressing together. And then again, you're going to reach your left hand up to get a nice stretch and reach towards the front of the room and circle your arm behind you and then up again. Being mindful to keep pressing that right foot into the right, or right leg into your right arm. And letting the arm circle come from the back of your shoulder blade, not necessarily just from the shoulder joint.
Mm-hmm.
Switch directions. Really reaching your arm out the whole time. And then placing your left hand down, moving your right hand to the other side of your right foot, and then straightening your right leg so that your hips shift back and coming up to balance if you're able. Once you have your position, really press that right heel into the floor, feeling that stability, and then try to lift your leg up. Balance is found in between the wobbles. Set it back down. Do any adjustments that you need to. If it's hard on your standing knee, you can also pad the knee with a pillow or fold your mat in half. And then coming back up and lifting your right leg up. And set your leg back down. Let your hands frame your right foot and step back into downward dog. Inhale, exhale into plank, and then back into down dog. Forward into plank, back into down dog. And then next time you come forward into plank, step your left foot forward back into a lunge. And set your right knee down to the floor. And let the top of your right foot rest on the floor. So your foot's not flexed behind you, it's pointed. Really press into the mat with your left foot, getting stability in that hip joint. And then press the top of your right foot into the mat to lift the knee up. Continue to really press into the mat with that left foot so you don't just slump into the hip. And then lower your knee back down. Rest a little. And then we'll do it again, pressing the right foot, the top of the right foot into the mat to lift your knee up. Doesn't have to come up real high, but giving you a nice top of the foot stretch and challenging your strength. Take another breath here. Lower the knee back down. Bring your knees together and then step your right foot forward so that we can do it on the other side. So right foot is forward, foot's pressing into the mat. And then your left foot is behind you, pressing into the mat to lift your left knee up. Inhale, exhale, try to relax your face. Set your knee back down. Take a breath here. And then we'll do it again, pressing your left foot into the mat to bring your knee up. Keep pressing your hands into the mat too to spread shoulder blades wide. Place your knee back down. Bring your left foot back, tuck your toes, and press back into downward dog. Inhale, exhale fully, coming forward into plank, back into down dog, forward into plank, and then let's hold the plank for 3 breaths. Really pressing your hands into the mat, giving your shoulders stability. Keeping your spine straight and long and letting the top of your head reach towards the front of the room. Inhale, exhale to blow out the candles. Inhale. And as you exhale again, press back into downward dog. Inhale, exhale, bring your knees down. And then we're going to turn onto the mat so that you're facing sideways. And come into tabletop position so that your hands are below your shoulders and your knees are below your hips. Press into the mat with both hands to spread your shoulder blades wide. And then reach your left foot out to the side so that you're kind of in this side lunge. Press your whole foot onto the ground if you're able. And if only the side of your foot gets onto the ground, just try to shift the rest of your foot onto the ground as much as possible. But as you press your foot into the mat, try to feel that kick on the inside of your leg.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to rock straightening your arms long, and then coming forward. Rock your hips back, and then come forward. Continue doing a few of those at the pace that works for you. Really thinking about your hands and your foot pressing into the mat as you do it. Staying active in those joints. Try to keep your face relaxed, and again, avoid your shoulders creeping up to your ears. And then next time you come forward, try to keep your weight even between your left and your right arm and legs. And then you're going to lift your left foot up off the ground. So your leg is going to feel like it weighs 200 pounds. Back down and do it again. You want to avoid shifting your weight to the right while you lift your left foot up. So try to keep your weight even on both sides and just lift from that hip joint, letting that leg be really heavy. Even just getting up onto your toes is good. And set it back down. Bring your knees together, coming back into tabletop position, and then reach your right leg out so that you're in a side squat on the other side. Try to press your whole right foot into the mat, really feeling the inside of your leg kick on, and press both hands into the mat, spreading the shoulder blades wide and externally rotating so your elbow pits are facing forward. And then shift your hips back like we did on the other side, and then move them forward, kind of rocking back and forth, trying to keep your whole foot on the ground the whole time. Try to keep your face relaxed and let all your energy go into really pressing into the mat with your hands and your right foot. And then next time you come forward, press your hands back into the mat. Make sure you're stable and lift your right foot up off the mat. Shift your weight to the left side as you do it. Set it back down, take a break. Reestablish the stability in your shoulders, keeping your weight even, and then lift that right leg up again. Use their core breath to blow out the candles. And then set your foot back down. Bring your knees back together. And if you're able, sit back onto your feet. We're going to eventually get down to laying on the mat. So if this part is uncomfortable for you, you can just skip it. But sit back onto your heels and you can have your hands on the ground or lift them up for balance. But we're going to shift our hips from side to side. So you're going to come onto your left side, your right side, keeping your balance if you can. If you want to use your hands, you can do that too. Whatever works for you today. Just shifting back and forth. Go to the right and to the left, and then back to center, to the right, and bring your legs to stretch out. And then we'll come down to the ground as slowly as possible, getting into kind of a boat pose and trying to take it slow using your core to bring yourself down until you're all the way down on your mat. As you stretch out on your mat, take a deep inhale and exhale, letting your body get comfortable with this new position. And then place your feet flat on the mat, about hips width apart, so your knees are bent. And we'll do a low bridge pose. So pressing both feet into the mat to lift your hips up off of the mat. Let your breath be calm and steady. Try to keep your face relaxed and your shoulders relaxed so they're not trying to help you out, but let all the energy go into your legs. Set your hips back down. Take a break. And then with feet about hips width apart, press them into the mat to bring your hips back up. Try not to spread your knees further apart as you lift your hips up, but keep your legs in line, your knees in line with your ankles. And then without shifting your hips, come up onto the toes of your right foot so your heel comes off the ground. And then set it back down. And then again, without tilting or shifting your hips, come up onto the toes of your left foot so your heel comes off the ground. And then set it back down. Again, try to come up onto the toes of your right foot. Set it back down, keeping your hips even. And then come onto the toes of your left foot. Set it back down. Try to do it twice more on each side. And then lower your hips down, back onto the mat. And take a moment to rest. Inhale and exhale. Check in with your other parts. Any areas that might be tense. And then we're gonna come back up one more time. So pressing your feet into the mat to bring your hips up. Finding a strong and stable position. Stay like this if that's enough for you, or you can go back up onto your toes of each foot. Or you can come back up on so lift your right heel up onto your toes and then lift your leg all the way up like you're gonna march. Set it back down. And then come up onto the toes of your left foot and then lift your whole foot up into a march so your knee is bent. Set it back down. You can continue marching with the right and the left leg. Again, the key is still keeping your hips even and stable. So like the headlights, on your hips. We're pointing directly towards the ceiling, and they don't turn to the left or right as you lift each leg. You may be feeling some shaking or wobbling. And put these muscles to a lot of work, and that's okay. Do 2 more on each side if you're able, or come down when you need to, or you could even just hold the bridge. Letting your hips shift back down to the floor. Taking a deep inhale, exhale fully out. Take another breath here. Relaxing your face, spreading your collarbones wide. And then we're not quite going to rest yet. Leg up, straightening your leg if you're able, or making it mostly straight. And then externally rotate the leg and internally rotate. So you're just going to go back and forth like we've done with the strap. Externally and internally rotating from the femur bone, so that your foot kind of windshield wipers back and forth, but your ankle isn't moving. Try to reach your heel out towards the ceiling as you do it. So the foot is flexed. Bring your right foot back down. Take a deep breath in and exhale out. And then straighten the left leg to bring it up. Reach your heel towards the ceiling, flexing the foot, and then externally and internally rotate on the left side. Try to keep a neutral spine. So don't lift your legs so high up that you have to round your back into the floor. Relax your face. And then bring your left foot back down. And you can go ahead and spread your feet a little wider on the mat to let your knees fall to the right. And then fall to the left. Again, windshield wipering the knees back and forth. Letting your heart rate slow down and your body relax after that good work that you did. Do any other movements that would feel good to you before reaching your legs out on the mat. Maybe twisting, curling your ankles, reaching your arms up over your head to give a full body stretch. And then feeling the floor beneath you, hold your weight as you bring your body back to rest. Let your breath slow. Let your toes relax and your ankles relax. Let your shins and your knees release. Let your hips be heavy to the floor. Let your belly relax and your shoulders. You no longer have to hold yourself up, but let the floor beneath you. Let your neck relax, your ears, your cheekbones, and your forehead. Take a deep breath in and exhale all the way out. I'm going to sit up and read you a quote, and then I'll stop the video. But I encourage you to rest as long as you have time today to really let the practice settle in. I remembered that the real world was wide and that a varied field of hopes and fears, of sensations and excitement awaited those who had the courage to go forth into its expanse, to seek real knowledge of life amidst its many perils. Charlotte Bronte. Thank you for practicing with me again. Peace be with you.